Today on CityCast Chicago, it's Golden Gloves Week. That's the renowned amateur boxing tournament that's launched many a world champion. Names you probably know like Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson, of course, Muhammad Ali. Well, championships start Thursday, and to celebrate Golden Gloves' 100th anniversary, we talk with two former boxing champions about why the Golden Gloves are so important to Chicago. It's Monday, April 10th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago is talking about. David Diaz is a combined 7-time Chicago and National Golden Gloves champ who also represented the U.S. in the 96 Olympics. Jorge George Pacheco is a 3-time Chicago champ and the 96 Mexican national champion. David, George, welcome to CityCast Chicago.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
No, it's my honor to have y'all. But before all of these awards and these accolades, when does David Diaz first find boxing? How is that introduced into your life?
I was like eight years old, 9, going to be 9 years old. My dad took me to the gym, Wells Park. Back then, it's not like it is today where they don't put the kids in right away to fight. Back then, I went in, and the gentleman who was running the show there was Casey Puskar. He said, "Oh, you want to box? You want to box?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to box. Jump in. Let's see what you got." So I did okay. I didn't beat the kid. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I didn't beat the kid, but I did just enough where he's like, okay, he's got some grit. Let's work with him.
Okay.
And then later on down the road, I just fell in love with the sport.
So this is like the late 80s we talking about, right? When you first coming into this gym?
Yes. For me, it was 85, 86, I think it was.
Okay. And George, same question to you. How do you discover boxing in your life? Is this something that was in your family already?
My father boxed in the Golden Gloves in the 70s and had brothers that were boxing. I had 2 brothers already in the gym. My father kind of was trying to protect me from the gym. Because when you're a boxer, you kind of don't want your kids boxing. I mean, I'm sure David, I've seen, his kids play baseball and other sports, but I don't think he's took them to the gym just yet. I mean, it's one of those things that you're kind of like, you did it. You don't really want your kids to do it. But going back to the when you start looking forward to the Golden Gloves, I mean, we start sizing the David Diaz of the world up when we're 15.
Yeah.
These guys are like, the Rocky movie where you have the picture of your opponent on the mirror and you just crush it. You crumble the picture of your opponent. That's what happens once you're 14, 15 years old. You're just eyeing that champion and you're ready to take him down.
Yep.
I love this energy y'all got. It's the constant boxing. I feel like we're on Showtime right now, even though it's like a battle of compliments. It's like, I'm trying to get like you. No, I'm trying to get like you.
And
David,
that's
what Chicago neighborhood did you grow up in?
I grew up in Humboldt Park. I moved there when I was 12. Yeah. So when I first started boxing, I was like in the Albany Park area. Then my dad bought a house in Humboldt Park, and we moved there, and that's where I grew up.
Mm-hmm. George, get in here. I want to talk about what does that look like for a young 15, 16-year-old training in the gym? For maybe some of our listeners, all that they ever seen is Creed or Rocky going out there and training, running up the steps or practicing in the garage. What does that regimen look like for a young kid in the gym getting ready for the Golden Gloves tournament?
Well, it's not as glamorous as it looks on TV, for one. the gyms are pretty smelly. And, there's a lot of mean people in there, but, it's intimidating. It's intimidating. You go in and, you want to learn how to fight, but you have to submerge yourself in all these people that are already fighting, great fighters that you might compete against. And all you do is size people up. You walk in and you're like, I'm going to have to fight that guy. I'm going to have to fight this guy. So, it's intimidating, but that's what makes the sport so beautiful. And that's one of the things that you take with you, being able to, deal with those fears and intimidations that come with it. So,
George, you're like you said, you're starting to think about this as a young kid, 15, but now 16 going into the tournament, 16, 17, 18. What is that fear or that doubt that you feel in the process, and how do you work to kind of deal with that?
Well, walking into the ring, I mean, you see in the crowd, you're just a lot of people cheering. You have people going for you, people shouting against you. and to be able to just tame those fears and just regroup yourself and getting ready to perform, hoping that everything you did in the gym pays off. But uh, that's one of the biggest things as a boxer. And some of these boxers are some of the nicest people you meet in the world because they know how to tame their fears, they know how to tame their aggressions, and that's very important in the ring. Being able to conquer those.
Now back, I don't remember. I think yeah, George, did you fought on the Golden Gloves when it was in the Rosemount Rising?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
See,
got
they used to have.
pretty bad.
Well, I said, oh, man, my bad.
It was funny because I got beat up pretty bad in the final. They used to record it at the Allstate Arena, and then they used to play it on Univision. And I got beat up so bad that they made the commercial for those fights out of me getting beat up. So it was I was getting stopped on the street constantly. Hey, you're the guy getting beat up on Channel 40. Yeah, that's
Oh,
me. That's me. So
hey man, Ed Champ got to take it at some point. George, I want to stay with you. You know, some people they'll look at boxing, and one they think right, it's a sport that ends up with a lot of individuals who grew up in impoverished neighborhoods, folks who feel like they're fighting for their life. Some people just see people punching each other, bloody black eyes. What would you say to the boxing skeptics who don't see the sweet science? They just see two mugs and they're trying to knock each other heads off.
uh, it is a violent sport. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
tough sport, but where we come from,
Exactly.
where we come from, and a lot of these guys that fight in these tournaments, the neighborhoods we come from, getting punched in the face isn't the worst thing in life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in life, and it's sometimes it's a badge of honor. I grew up in a rough neighborhood in Aurora, and some of these, you're either join the gang or you don't. And a lot of these guys will leave you alone. They know you're a boxer. Like, hey, good. I see you in the paper. Good job. They were intimidated themselves. So it kind of saved us from that street life. I mean, we're off limits, and it's the times are different. Times are different. We're evolving as a society, and boxing. I mean, hopefully it's around for another 100 years.
David, I mean, a similar question back to you. When I think about my child, and I hate to sound like an old head here, but we grew up fighting in the park when I was a kid in the late '90s, early 2000s. You could expect to go one on one a couple times a year, and that's just sort of the way things was. But even as I'm talking to you, some people don't want their kids in the ring if they were boxers themselves. Do you think putting young people in the ring to fight is that still a way of building character, keeping them out of trouble? Do you think that's that argument still lives true today?
Definitely, I definitely do feel that boxing can help in that aspect, and let me tell you why. Because um, that kid that comes into the boxing gym can have that mentality, like, oh, I'm a dog, I'm this and stuff like that. But then he gets mentored by the coach that he sees on an everyday basis that pours into him and tells him, no, that's not the way to go. If we go about it this way, these are the good things that are going to happen. And what you're telling him that the outcome is going to be greater than what you're getting right now, you're going to save that kid. You're going to save that kid because the kid is going to trust you and believe in you. Because maybe I've seen it plenty of times growing up, where guys are like, no, I like being here because, I got nobody to be home with. There's nobody
Yeah.
there. And they would stay in the gym. They would come every day. And it's an outlet for the kids, sincerely. Now,
Yeah.
based for my kids, I had them involved in boxing. I had them in like when they were young. But the thing that I saw in them that they didn't want to go in there and hit the bag. They didn't want to jump rope. They didn't want to run. They didn't want to do sit-ups. They didn't want to do none of that stuff. They just want the, hey, Pops, I just want to spar. I'm like, dude, you can't just spar every day. You're going to get your head, you're going to be messed up. You got to learn how to work out. You got to learn how to run. So that's why my kids didn't follow boxing, was because I didn't let them, because they didn't want to do the work.
And the other thing, you
I hear
can't
you.
teach hunger. You can't teach hunger.
No, you can't. You can't. Right?
You
So
have to be hungry.
that,
You have to be
yeah,
hungry.
you have to be hungry for this sport of boxing. You have to want it. You have to enjoy the brutalness of the workouts, because you're gonna get there, you're gonna get up to the ring and fight, and the fight should be easy with that concept, you know? So they ended up playing baseball.
Did you always feel like Chicago had your back when you stepped in the ring against your opponent?
All the time, man. I felt the love. I felt the love all the time. Every time we went in and fought against people that were pretty recognizable, except for that one fight with Morales. uh, we fought here in Chicago. I think everybody in Chicago was against the Mexican
Yeah,
Chicago.
y'all was out at the Allstate
Yeah,
Arena.
I only had a few people. I only had a few people that were really rooting for me. I get it. It's all right.
It's Morales. I understand.
I understand it's Morales. I get it.
There was kids cheering for you.
No, I know. I know my people. I know the ones that were there with me. I know. Like George, his father. I know that. I know. But like, I have a grammar school friend of mine. His last name is Morales. He's like, no, man,
Okay.
man, my cousin beat you, bro. You lost. I'm like, shut up.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Oh no, I love that right there. George, David, it's very clear how much this tournament means to you, how much you love it, because now, decades since you all were participants, you're still here taking podcast calls in the middle of your work days to talk about your story and the story of others. But as you look forward to, what is now Golden Gloves Week across the state in Illinois, are there any particular matches you're looking forward to during the championships coming up?
One of the things we look forward to every year, what we look forward to going to the gloves is one of the things is the smells, the sounds, the energy. These guys preparing themselves for 6 months a year to leave it all in the ring. And that is what excites us.
I like seeing the guys warming up because you see, like back when I was fighting, I would want to see how my guy's warming up, because if he's not warming up like he wants to come and kill me, I'm like, I got this fool. I got him, right? Because that's that. I mean, it could be a double-edged sword because some guys just turn it on. But I like to see that. I like to see the guys getting ready, how they look, if they look nervous or they look hungry, like they want to go out there and just destroy the guy that's in front of him. I like looking at that, to be honest with you, because sometimes it does remind me of when I was getting ready for my amateur fights. It was crazy because some of the amateur shows, we would sit right next to our opponent. I don't know if you remember. You remember that, George? Yeah, we used to sit next to our opponents because we were down the line. It was crazy. It was like, yeah, I got to beat this kid up. Hey, how you doing?
Man, again, I appreciate all the excitement y'all brought, right? It's been a century of the Golden Gloves in Chicago. George, you said it earlier, you hope to see it for another 100 years. Why do you think this tournament has thrived in our city for as long as it has?
I think because the Chicago way. I mean, Chicago is ethnically diverse, socially diverse, economically diverse, and to just have all those cultures in one and then just meet up for one tournament, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to just see the diversity of the city and the different parts represented, and that's what makes the tournament unique from if you would have a tournament in Indiana or Iowa. You're not going to find the diversity, you're going to find the energy that you find at the Chicago Golden Gloves. So that's one of the things that really makes this tournament unique and exciting.
My very last one to both of you, David, I'm going to start with you as sort of a rapid fire. If a young boxer is listening right now, preparing for their final rounds this weekend, what you telling them?
Well, he's got to go for broke. I mean, it's only 3 rounds, 3-minute rounds, right? He better be in shape. He better be in shape, He better putting those miles in running and be in condition to fight. And definitely just leave it all out there. At the end of the day, you don't want to be the guy that says, man, what if I would have pushed a little bit harder the last 10 seconds? Would that have gotten me leave it out.
George, last one to you. What's that advice you giving somebody before they step inside that ring?
The same advice that someone would give you if you said, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice.
I appreciate both y'all making time for CityCast Chicago. It means a lot to us, and good luck to all of the competitors this week.
Definitely. Good luck to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, a little bit of news, y'all. If you want to learn more about the development of DuSable Park in the Loop and offer your feedback, you can attend an online meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. I got the Zoom registration link for you in the show notes. Now, in-person public meetings for the forthcoming Chicago Elected School Board District map begin this week as well. Wednesday in Humboldt Park and Thursday in Pullman. The 39th Annual Chicago Latino Film Festival starts later this week. I got a link for the full lineup and participating theaters in the show notes. And some good news to get you through. Check out Queer Art Party at Sleeping Village tonight at 7. This is a celebration of queer art, music, food, and community. As always, we appreciate you for listening. Subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Chicago, at chicago.citycast.fm. We're wishing our newsletter editor, Sydney Madden, a happy vacation. We're going to be here bright and early in your inbox and your feed tomorrow. Peace.
I want to... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Y'all can't see it right now, but there's a pause because they're both bowing to each other. Be like, no, you go. You go. No, you go. The energy y'all got for each other and the love y'all got for each other. I appreciate y'all bringing that to me. I really appreciate it.
I got to remind you, Kobe, he's a world champion. So I don't wanna,
stop it.
He said, this ain't love. This is fear.
Respect.